So here's my restored Osborne 1, and I've just been testing out transferring files over by RS232. So over here we've got my trusty old netbook with a USB to serial converter and a straight through wired DB9 to DB25 modem lead, not a null modem lead, plugged into the Osborne. So if we boot up into CPM, get that started. Over here I've got HyperTerminal and some CPM basic software I've downloaded off the net. The Osborne defaults to 1200 baud, but you can run the setup program to configure it to 300 baud or 1200 baud. Over on HyperTerminal, I've already got set up, configured to the COM port for my USB serial. I've got 1200 baud, 8 data bits, no parity, 1 stop bit, hardware flow control, which seems to work well. And in the generic settings for ASCII setup, I've got it to send line ends with line feeds, which seems to be required for going from Windows to CPM and echoing back local characters, because I'm using the pip utility, which doesn't echo that back over the RS232. Everything else I've left as the defaults. So we can then do call to connect to the Osborne. At the Osborne end, we're going to use the pip utility, and I'm going to receive a file called monster.bas. So we put that file name in, equals, and PTR for paper tape reader, and colon to indicate it's a device. I've seen conflicting reports of what you put in here, but this is the only one that I've got to work reliably, and I'll put Y on my blog. Press return to load pip and initiate the transfer. Well, wait for connection. Over at the HyperTerminal end, we'll do send text file. We'll browse to the game file. Need to set it to all files rather than text files, and select monster.bas. And that will start going over the wire. At this point, I can type Control Z on the keyboard, which will be appended to the file, Control Z being the end of file marker that pip requires. So over at the Osborne end, there's no sign of doing anything, because pip is a very low level utility, so it just sits there. But that's why it's useful to have the local echo over here, so we can see the progress of the basic program. Once it gets to the end, the Control Z will be sent, and that will tell pip to stop receiving and will write the file to the disk. And here we go. Confirm the file is there. We can type it to the screen to check that it's come over correctly with the correct line feeds, etc. And that seems to be good. I'll just pause that with Control C, and then we can load Microsoft Basic with the mbasic command. Load the file. And I forgot that we need to put the .bas suffix on there. No, the problem isn't that. The problem is that CPM is not case sensitive, but Microsoft Basic is. So I think we need to do that to load it. That's looking good. And there we have our program. Let's see if we can run it. and oh, here we go. So that's getting a basic program over onto the Osborne. Next is to try and get a binary file over, which is going to be harder.